we are on to Rutgers. And kind of to start off before we get into like specifics on the teams and what we were thinking. I just want to ask you guys a general question about Rutgers and what you're seeing so far from them. Is this potentially his best team in his second tenure? Because we know there was a team in the first tenure that was better, with a certain running back that lived in infamy. But in his second tenure, it might be an open question. So I'm going to start this time with Tanner. What do you think about this Greg Schiano team?
Yeah, I mean, they've looked pretty good this year, especially defensively. I still have question marks about their quarterback, Gavin Wimsatt, who was a big-time recruit coming out of high school, graduated early and joined the Rutgers team in 2021, even though he was a 2022 high school graduate. He graduated early. So, yeah, I mean, and they've given up 30 points, so they're giving up 10 points a game right now. I will say, though, look, they beat Northwestern. They beat Temple. They were favored by 8, but they beat Temple by 29, and then they beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is not like what we had when we were kind of growing up with Frank Beamer. Like, that program has fallen off a cliff. It's unfortunate. My brother-in-law is a senior there, and so I like to root for the Hokies, and man, they just are not good. So I don't know how much to take from this. I mean, they came into the Big House 2 years ago, 3-0. But they've got an opportunity to get to a bowl game. I definitely think they can beat Michigan State. They can beat Indiana. They've got a game against Wagner. Like that's a potential 6-7 win team. So to answer your question, I would say so, but I don't know. It feels like they still, and I don't know how much building can be done there, right? I mean, we've seen it in the Big East, and I almost said it's like a year or two away. I don't know what their recruiting looks like, but Schiano's a very solid coach. He's very just fundamentally driven, tough-nosed kind of guy, and that's how his programs are. I wouldn't be shocked if they get to a point where maybe they'll pull off 8 wins every few years, like under him, if for however long he's there in the second stint. But yeah, they're a tough physical football team, and they've got. I mean, Aaron Lewis is a really good player who was once a Wolverine for a short period of time. So they've got some guys, man, and this is a solid football team.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Rutgers, it's sort of like what you talked about with Schiano. Very fundamentally sound, a good defensive team. And that's where you can give a team some issues who might get careless. So Michigan's going to have to be careful and not give the game away like they did in the first half against Rutgers, sort of, last year, in that 17-14 deficit that they went into halftime with. And then they blew them out 52-17. They relocked back in. That Rutgers team, though, was not as good as this one. I do think this is Greg Schiano's best team since his first tenure. And so there's been clear progression and growth with this program, which has impressed me, frankly. I think they play the type of brand of football that you can respect, and starting with fundamentals and building it from the ground up is what he's doing. Like you're talking about, Tanner, I don't know if they can even get the talent there personally. The way the Big Ten's moving, and even location-wise, and a whole lot of factors with Rutgers, they're just not built to be up there. And I'll throw them like below the Michigan State tier for sure, right? So I look at Michigan, Ohio State as the tops in the Big Ten, and then below that will be maybe Michigan State, but Penn State's right up there too, and they're definitely like a third or fourth tier Big Ten team. So getting them to a level that's 8 wins is the occasional every 3 seasons or so. 8 wins is what I think they could do, which is impressive alone. So, if they can do that, great. Props to them. I think they will give Michigan a good fight, but I also think that Michigan's going to dice them up. Yeah, I do. The passing game, I think that's gonna be the difference. I think JJ's going to come out and want to answer some questions after struggling, and Michigan's running game might get slowed down a little bit, but they ran last year. Corum and Edwards both had over 100 yards, pretty efficiently too. So it's hard to say. Their run defense has improved, but Wimsatt, like you talked about, Tanner, I don't think he's going to do too much. They need him to be careful and efficient. And if he can do that, which he hasn't been efficient, but he's been careful this year. He hasn't turned the ball over yet. If he threw 3 picks last year, so if he doesn't throw a pick and he's semi-efficient, Rutgers might hang around in this game a little bit longer than people are expecting.
Yeah, I mean,
so
go ahead, John.
Go for it. Well, I was just going to ask about specific. Now, so obviously you've got a lot with Rutgers, but there is one player I think on their team. I don't think it's the quarterback. I think it's the running back, Kyle Monangai, who, if you look at these numbers, and I understand that the competition that they played against isn't Georgia, okay, but still, with that said, 119 yards per game is legit. I don't care who you're playing. 5 touchdowns. This guy one thing I've noticed about Shiano is he can get a running back going. And so this is another example of getting a running back going when maybe the quarterback isn't necessarily the best. And that's probably putting it mild. That's probably being nice to Wimsat by saying he's not the best. Um, Nelson, what's your take on Kyle Mongai and kind of what you've seen with him?
Yeah, he's 5'9", 210, I think. So he's a smaller guy, but he's like not. I don't mean mini in the stature wise, but like I think like a miniature Blake Corum in performance and skill. He's very quick. He's shifty. He moves pretty well. Similar size, and I think he's sort of a similar style to what UNLV puts out running back wise. They have like 3 guys at UNLV who are all around 5'9", 5'8". But he's not, just a speedster. He's very elusive. So seeing him in his highlight reel looks pretty good. He has pretty good vision. And so Michigan will have to be disciplined or else he could burn you. I think he's going to be definitely in the top half of backs in the conference. I think usage-wise is just going to keep him maybe in the top, 5, 6 range just because they're going to lean on him so much and they have to. But he's a good back, and Rutgers will be trying to run the ball because that's their bread and butter. So they're going to try and run the ball, and they're going to try and stop the run, and that will decide the game.
Tanner?
Yeah, I've been kind of thinking about it, and I know I've been somewhat complimentary. I think Michigan's going to come out with its hair on fire and just really take it to Rutgers. I just don't know how much they're going to be able to move the ball. Very similar to a team last year. I mean, look, Gavin Wimsatt hasn't turned the ball over. I think he's completing 51% of his passes, 6.2 yards an attempt. Like, it's not good. Like, it's not good at all. So I don't know. I think Monangai is good, but again, just thinking about this defense and the way that they're playing, like, if you can't do both on offense, like, you can't run and pass to some extent, good luck. Because I just don't think, like, I think Michigan will keep 4 in the box and stuff the run game and, confuse Wimsatt. I mean, he had 3 picks against Michigan last year. One of those was a touchdown. So yeah, I don't know where the success is going to come from for them.
Yeah, well, if it's not, I don't think if it's the ground game, it's not coming from anywhere. The one dynamic component or sort of X factor for them offensively is Wimsatt as a runner. And we didn't see a ton of it, but he's capable. And last week he ran for almost 90 yards on like 10 or 11 carries. So he's got the capability. We've seen it. They did use him in some design runs last season against Michigan, and it didn't work out at all. So I don't know, how much of preparation has to go into that. But I think Michigan is sort of like you're saying, is going to stop the run. That's their focus. And then they're going to make Wimsatt make some decisions and throw the ball. And I don't think it's going to work out very well against Michigan's secondary, especially if they're as close to full health as Minner thinks they are.